Alright then, guys. I'm gonna unplug my earbuds here, see if nothing happens. Sweet. So I had my earbuds in yet when I started the video. So that's why you kind of heard my voice probably a little better because I had the microphone up on my face. I don't know if it's gonna be a new thing or not. But every day that I've been coming down here, the turkeys have been out. You know, they've been inside the diamond and they've figured out how to use one of these fucking dugouts that they built for this diamond. Because turkeys are kind of stupid. But they're not all that dumb because they'll fucking outsmart you. I mean, the reason why they say they're stupid is because they can't figure a lot of shit out. But they'll figure out enough ways to outsmart you when you're trying to shoot them. I figured that, or I've witnessed that firsthand. Cause where I did my hunter safety class at the Brown County Sportsman's Club or whatever the hell it's called, I forget. You know, so if that's the actual name, I'm sorry. Please bear with me. My grandfather, the one that hunted, which is my grandfather on my mom's side, always hunted at his friend's house for deer, which turned out was literally about a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile down the road from where I did my hunter safety classes. Maybe a mile or so. I don't know exactly. It was probably about a mile, maybe a mile and a half at most. And me and my grandfather, we freaking bam, 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 bam. We moved 5 or 6 different fucking spots. Something like that. Then we sat not too far from our grandfather's stand. You know, he bounced to his friend's stand that owned the property that we were on. So he went from my grandfather's stand to his friend's stand, and then to the big clearing where we went in to go to my grandfather's stand because his friend's stand was on the other side of their property. Because he lives more out in the country, like no one really ever buy them, you know, for houses. You know, so there's this older lady that lived on the corner. Then it was my grandfather's friend's house. And the lady that was on the corner fucking had, a decent size to her yard, being for a corner lot. She had a decent size of, grass property, and then she had a little bit of like a woods property, the woods part of the property. And then, but most of her property, from what I could see, was grass. And every time we drive down there, I remember my grandfather had his fucking Exploder. I call it the Exploder because, he practically had the transmission on it explode. He blew the fucking drive gear, the drive ring out of it. Because he was doing me the favor of bringing my... Because this is back when I still had the Iron Horse yet, I think. No, wait. Yeah, no, the gear exploding was later. But I'll get to that. So he had his Exploder. We'd just fucking drive, get to the corner, where the lady's house was. So we'd pull over, drive slow, and we just fucking watch these turkeys fucking strut around in her backyard. So then that was the day that we went to sit by his friend's deer stand, because his deer stand was on the property line of his house and the lady's house. Because we were trying to get the turkeys to come from out of the lady's backyard into the woods so we can nail them. But that didn't work. And we had one sitting right behind us, making it sound like he was, like a half a mile away. So that's how I can say turkeys can outsmart you. Or that they at least outsmarted me and my grandfather, because the turkey was sounding like he was far away. So now to jump on the Exploder thing. So my grandfather was doing me a favor. This is back when he still had that truck yet, but this is years later from hunting out at his friend's house. And he was doing me a favor of bringing my bike in for me, because I was running low on time to go. Because he knew the owner of not JW Flooring, that's where we keep our camper. J&B Cycles out in Howard. They're on the corner of Velp and whatever street. Fucking turns out my buddy's dad lives around the fucking corner from there. So he brought the bike, because like I said, the bike shop is already closed. I was like, hey, I asked Papa to bring it for me, because I call him Papa, because, I got both my grandfathers yet, I got both my grandmothers yet. I got both my grandparents on both sides yet. Both my grandmothers go with both my grandfathers. So I call him Papa, which is my grandfather on my mom's side. So he picks my bike up, brings it in for me. I owed him one. So then he brought it in the following morning from when he picked the bike up. But when he was leaving my fucking house, threw his truck, because he parked in front of the house on the street. Threw his truck in reverse to back into my driveway and turn around, because he doesn't like some of the roads around my house, which I don't blame them, because our roads suck. You can blame the city for that for wrecking them, because they got half of them around here ripped up right now. So then you want to throw it and drive, all of a sudden, pow, fucking drive gear explodes. And because he got the four, the three, because there's normally it's depending on the vehicle, if it's an automatic, how many gears there is for drive, because normally for a lot of them that I've seen, 1, 2, 3 drive, and then some vehicles have the drive overdrive, which is for only for highway use. Now that I learned that, I know 2 people, one still got that same truck. Because the same grandfather's got an S10 now, and it has the 1, 2, 3 drive, and then the overdrive for the highway. And then my dad had an 89 regular cab step side Silverado that had the overdrive in it too. Which, if I remember right, Dad really didn't drive the step side on the highway too much. I mean, he did, but I don't think he ever did with, at least with me. I don't remember. I haven't ridden that truck in so fucking long, because he doesn't have it anymore. Because he sold that probably about 8 months before he sold the Avalanche. Because the blue truck was having fuel issues or some shit, I forget. But it was having some issues that my dad couldn't afford to put the money in to try to figure it out, to fix it. So he went, out the door you go. And I was telling Dad I wanted that truck, but now that I understand that there's a bunch of fucking issues with it that we can't really afford to lose the fucking house with. Man, I'm just saying that metaphorically, because it could have possibly burnt the house down. Because they had wiring issues too, and my dad didn't like them. And it'd be way too much fucking money for him to buy a brand new wiring harness for the fucking computer, for the motor, a brand new internal wiring harness, so it'd be all the lights, so you'd have to have the external wiring harness for, your headlights, high and lows, your front blinkers, your running lights, so it'd be your headlights, high and lows, running lights, front blinkers, your fog lights, your running lights and your taillights, the blinkers in the taillights, the reverse lights, which didn't work, all the lights that, interior lights for the cab when you open up the doors, the wiring for the instrument cluster, the wiring for the fucking radio, the wiring for the steering column, because it had steering columns have wiring in them for, the switches and shit, and the run your wipers. You need the wiring for the wipers, and all the correct ends for the computers, because there's typically 2 computers on a vehicle, from what I've seen of the American stuff. I don't know how it is for the foreign stuff, but for the American stuff, like the newer 5.3, like the newer 5.3s, or all the 5.3s, and all these newer LSs, all of them do, but they get more and more complex for the newer you go. Had a motor just for or a computer just for the motor, so that it could run the ignition timing, your spark, your fuel management, stuff like that. Basically run your timing too. And then there's a computer on the inside of the vehicle, typically on the inside of under the dash, we'll do everything else and plus work with the computer for the motor to, you know, so on and so forth. So, but anyway, guys, I'm gonna end the video here and get some riding done and shit, because I want to go see if the fucking dollar store is stocked up on the paracord again, even though I was just there yesterday. So, but anyway, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video.